Secretary Clinton was unable to be able to testify tomorrow in an open setting. I do think it's imperative for all concerned that she testify in an open session prior to any changing of the regime.
Will that happen? Will Hillary Clinton testify before she leaves the office of Secretary of State? And what will be the political fallout, if any, from her delay? Fox News contributor and former pollster for President Carter, Pat Caddell, joins me here in New York City. Good evening, Pat. Good evening. How are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
Terrific. Now, all right, she had a grueling week. She couldn't talk because of the investigation. She had the flu. Then she had a concussion. And now we're saying that maybe she might not testify until mid-January. What do you think of that?
I think that's ridiculous. If she can walk and talk, she needs to get up. I mean, I'm not saying she didn't have a problem with the concussion and fainting, but she needs to get up there. She hasn't spoken out about any of this other than to say, I'm the head of the State Department, I take responsibility. We now know from the report she has been, and her deputies and everyone at the White House have been whitewashed in that report, which blames all of the underlings. It reminds me of John Dean's report, if you will, on Watergate. Nobody in senior position was involved. She needs to answer. On this show, when we were on, I followed Mr. Woods, who was the father of one of the
Charles Woods, right.
Woods, of the son who was killed there. I mean, after all, there are 4 dead people here. I mean, we had a hostage crisis where hostages were taken, but none were killed. Right. We have 4 dead Americans. She has yet to testify, and now it's getting a little old because she has a lot to answer for. When she told Mr. Woods, according to Mr. Woods, we're going to get the guy who made the video and put him in jail.
They did.
And by the way, he's in jail for some minor infraction for a year, which is really kind of terrifying. The people who perpetrated this have not been punished. We still don't know the bottom line on this. And what we don't know and may never know, because with the press's complicity, the White House has been able to dodge the question, and she needs to answer why she went out on the limb saying this was the video when they knew different.
Pat, that's what amazes me. All they say in this report, and I read every word of it, was that there was no protest in response to the video, and yet nobody talks about where the video came from. Who started with the video? They said it came from Egypt. Well, they do have a bullhorn, and they heard it in Libya. They said,
the problem
watch this video.
The problem is the Democrats have no interest in the truth, and the Republicans
are
too.
But, you know, I hate talking like that, Pat.
I hate
politics.
Let me just say, I do too. This shouldn't be politics. The Republicans are too cowardly. You know why? Because they all calculate politically. There was a time when people in public office in the Senate who take an oath, remember, to the Constitution, not to their political party, right, to find out the truth. Hillary Clinton wants to be president, and I think, as I wrote last year with Doug Schoen, she should have been the Democratic nominee. She would have united the country. But this kind of performance will come back to haunt her. I'm telling you, this thing will come back. She might escape it now, but the answer of dodging the bullet, this thing is never quite going to go away.
But the mainstream media, Pat, won't even talk about it.
None of this would happen if Bob Woodward were alive, as I like to say. No, my point is, you know, 40 years ago, Bob Woodward, who I admire greatly, helped break Watergate when all the rest of the mainstream reporters dived on him, right? So he, the best person with the best sources, says nothing, says, oh, I can't find out. The answer is, I told you originally. You don't have to be Einstein to figure this out. The White House concocted this story. Susan Rice, who was willing to lie at the drop of a hat, goes out. Hillary Clinton wouldn't. What I'd like to know is with Hillary Clinton, I'd like to see under oath when she was asked, were you asked to go on those Sunday shows, and you did not, why not?
Well, you know, she'll, I'm sure, claim some kind of executive...
no, she can't, not on that.
I agree, but you never know how they're going to get out of it. But look, her underling who testified said that the cable's warning of deteriorating security and inability of the Libyan government to provide security went to her floor.
Yes. Well, the answer is, why didn't they do something? It's one thing for her to say, oh, I'm the responsible officer. That's nice. No. The question is, who on your team, did it come to you? Why isn't anyone higher up being fired? And by the way, whatever happened, you know what? The problem is, in a real system where people like Cy Vance left Carter because he disagreed with the raid on the attempted Desert One, you know what? We haven't had a resignation in principle saying I failed or I was wrong or whatever since. You know, Hillary Clinton won't even get up now and show up. And here's my point. The Senate should not even begin confirmation hearings on John Kerry as Secretary of State until she appears at the Senate as Secretary of State. And if she doesn't, then just sit on the nomination. I mean, really.
But what leverage do they? I mean, you're saying they have the leverage
have because they can hold it in the Senate. They can hold a nomination, and all anybody's got to say is until she appears, until she's ready, we're not touching John Kerry. And by the way, and he cannot have the quote the questioning of her. Let's not get silly here.
Yeah.
The fact is, the American people deserve answers.
And he said she really wanted to be there this week, but
Well, you know what? Then as soon as she can get there, she should.
Well, look, she travels all over the world. Now she can't walk across the street.
Well, she says she's not well, but you know what? After Christmas, if I were her, don't go anywhere else.
What?
I said if I were her, just don't get caught being seen anywhere else. So sooner or later, get up to the Hill next week and volunteer to go. Say I want to be there the minute after.
She's been saying that since September.
Yeah, except that she never shows up.
Pat Caddell, always in